Hi everyone, welcome back to Ria's collection. Today I am going to make these nutritious, easy to make ragi rotis. Let's begin. The first step is to bring some water to a gentle boil. So while that's getting ready, I'm just going to quickly run through all the ingredients, which is nothing but the ragi flour, salt, and some ghee. You would also need a rubber spatula or something similar to mix the dough as it gets cooked. So now that the water has started to simmer, I'm going to add in enough salt, and this is totally up to you. If you don't want to add salt, don't. And now I'm going to add in a good amount of ghee. I like ghee, so I like to add a tiny bit more than maybe what's required. So it's up to you again how much you want to add. About a teaspoon is a good amount. You could also add coconut oil if that's what you have on hand. And now I'm going to add all of the ragi flour all at once and give this a good mix. So the heat right now is on a medium. And what I'm looking for right now is all of the dry flour to get moistened with that water. Excuse my reach, the handle was on the other side and I really need to, have a grip on that handle to mix it up well. So as you're mixing it, smush it down. And this is the reason why I like to use a rubber spatula, because it's a lot more flexible than a wooden spoon. So mix it up well. And as soon as you see that there's no more dry flour to be seen, we can stop this. So I'm now going to turn off the heat and then cover this pot with that lid. And I will set this aside for about 5 to 10 minutes or till it's warm enough to the touch. Let's see if the dough has cooled down enough. Looks like it's still steaming, which means it's pretty hot. So I'm just going to mix it up once again with a spatula just to release some steam, because I'm going to mix this dough with my hand. And you really want it to be a bearable level of heat, because otherwise it's just going to burn your palm. It is fairly hot. So I think I am going to make use of some water. So I have some water in that cup and I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit. Don't add a lot because the dough is going to get really wet otherwise. Just sprinkle a tiny bit and then mix it up really well. Even though ragi is a gluten-free flour, just like rice flour, the more you mix it, somehow it's just going to come together and the dough is going to be really soft, which will yield some really soft ragi rotis. This method is very similar to making patris at home. Instead of ragi flour, I would have used rice flour instead. So if you notice, it's a tiny bit sticky. In the sense, it's not wet, but it's tiny bit sticky. So keep mixing and let the steam go out of the dough completely. And then you will notice that the dough has become really smooth and non-sticky. So this is what you're looking for, a super soft dough. So I've been kneading it for about 2 minutes now. So now what's left to do is make some dough balls. I think I'm going to get about 7 to 8 ragi rotis out of this quantity of flour. Let's see how many I can make. So this is about a golf ball sized ball, or maybe a tiny bit bigger than that. The size of the dough balls is up to you. If you want to make them smaller, go for it. So divide the dough. And I always like to make the dough balls and put it back into the same pot that we made the dough in, because the pot still has some heat and it's going to keep the dough balls moist. So roll it out nicely into super smooth balls. And whenever I'm rolling it out, I'm going to take out just one at a time and then leave the other dough balls in the pot itself. They're all ready. So this is a puri press or a tortilla press or a chapati press, depending on where you are. And this is what I'm going to use to make my ragi roti. So I'm using a Ziploc bag with the sides cut off. And this is going to help release the ragi roti really easily. You could also use a rolling pin to roll it out just like you would with chapatis. And when you're doing that, you will have to dust it with a little bit of ragi flour to prevent it from sticking onto the surface and onto the rolling pin. And because of the plastic here, this is going to go really smooth. So just press it down like so. And magically, your ragi rotis are ready. And how long did that take? 5 seconds maybe? This is a good thickness for these rotis. Earlier, I used to actually, roll it out using my rolling pin, and it used to take me a little more longer, but the press is such a good investment. It just makes it so quick. I think I barely took 1 minute to press out all of these rotis. Look at that super flexible dough. So do this when the dough is still warm. You don't want it to cool down completely because it's going to crack when you roll it out. So I'm going to continue making all of the 7 rotis. And then once it's all pressed out, we're going to cook it. And I like to cook this on a cast iron pan. It's just my personal preference, but if you want to use a non-stick pan, go for it. A stainless steel pan, unless you're really good at handling that stainless steel pan, don't use it, because if you are not really careful with it, the dough kind of dries out really quickly. So I prefer to use a cast iron instead. So my trusty old, really old, it's probably like 15 years old now. Cast iron pan is all ready and I've been heating it on a medium high heat. So right now, as you can see, the dough has been placed on the pan and I'm going to wait for about 30 seconds till it's kind of dry on this underside. Because as soon as you put it, you won't be able to move the roti. It's going to stick to the surface. And then when it's ready to turn, you can actually move it easily on the pan. So that's what I'm looking for. A good 30 seconds, all right? I'm actually making these ragi rotis in real time, and I think it's going to be helpful if you are trying to make this at home, just so that you know how long to wait and what to look for. So flip it, and as you can see, it's kind of dried out on the other side, right? Now gently keep pressing it and then rotate it if you want to as you're pressing it. This will ensure that the other side is completely in touch with the pan and it's getting cooked evenly. Flip it again. So this is a third flip. And now you will notice that it's puffing up. And this is because it was rolled out or pressed out evenly. So one more flip, which is a fourth flip and the last flip. Okay. So now that it's puffed, it means it's fully cooked through. So I'm ready to transfer my freshly made ragi rotis into a casserole. So I'm going to continue doing the same process with the remaining pressed out dough. This portion of my video is sped up, so don't expect it to get cooked at this time at home when you're trying it. I just didn't want to, bore you guys out showing how to make it over and over again. All of our rotis have been cooked, and just look at that steaming set of nutritious, tasty ragi rotis. These have become a staple for me, especially for lunch. And whenever I make them like this in this quantity, and I put the remaining in the fridge. They reheat really well and they stay soft throughout. You can pair this with any curry of your choice, and I'm sure you're going to love it. My kids call these ragi rotis chocolate rotis because of its color. It's super nutritious and really tasty. I really hope you try this at home and let me know when you do. Until next time.